Hey y'all, this is Lydia. There has been a lot of energetic upgrades coming in, and this is coming in the form of messages, a million and one tiny little messages. And I'm finding that these messages are coming in like these little needles pricking. It's like a million and one little things of information coming in, or situations triggering me, or tiny little, they're like micro triggers, but these micro triggers are actually little messages to open me up to where I'm having expectation and where I'm not looking at the blessing and I'm not looking at the miracle, because I'm having these expectations, and these expectations are taking my attention away from the gifts, and I'm focusing on what I'm not receiving or what is not serving me right now. And big part of this is actually to show me where my place is and where I am right now, and to really honor that and to see the gift in that. Because when we have a vision and when we're focused on that vision and we want to see it through, it's very, very important to start where we are. The now moment is that activation point. It is always that point where we start. And it can be easy to project into the future or lament the past and get caught up in the illusion of the now, but we're not in the present moment at all. We're thinking about, you know, where we aren't right now, or we're thinking about what we haven't done. And that's not the present moment. The present moment is stress-free, it's pure, it's very vibrationally high and electric and energizing. So when we tap into that space, we actually open ourselves up to opportunities to actually see how far we've come, to feel what we're capable of, and to see the blessings and to count those blessings. And I would highly recommend this at this time. If you're getting these little micro triggers of, oh, I haven't done this, or this person has that and I don't have that, or I'm looking in this place of what I want as opposed to really honoring what I have, it's very, very important right now to get into the present moment and to actually honor what is in the present moment right now. That is a gift, that is a blessing, that is how far we've come in a sense, and what we have now, which are the tools that we can now take forward. It's very, very important right now. I've been getting a recurring message too of being very present with our expectations and really being honest about how those expectations hold us back. And the most striking thing that came through was this video of Deepak Chopra and Oprah, maybe in the late 80s or the 90s, and he had her holding a pendulum, and he was telling her to imagine the pendulum swinging from side to side. And when she started imagining the pendulum swinging from side to side, but she was holding it very still. The video shows her holding it very still. It started swinging side to side. And he said, okay, now imagine it going back and forth. And when she started imagining going back and forth, it started to go back and forth. And now imagine it going into a circle, and it started going into a circle. And he said, this is evidence. His interpretation was, this is evidence that when we have an expectation, every cell in our body conspires to see that expectation through. And when we're working with manifestation and what we want to pull through, that can create incongruencies if we aren't using that in a conscientious way and really minding how our expectations are perhaps distracting us from what actually wants to come through. And my guide sort of brought this home this morning with this message of really being your childlike wonder. It's very important to have your visions. It's very important to have your sense of direction. It's very important to tap into the feeling of who you are becoming and your sense of direction and where you want to go. But it's also equally important not to have expectations on how that's going to play out, how it's going to look, because when we let go of those things and be in our sense of childlike wonder of allowing these things to unfold for us, we're surprised. It's always better than what our mind and our ego can define. So it's important not to get too much in the definition of how something is supposed to look, or how we're expecting something to look, and to really open ourselves up to, okay, I can feel where I'm headed. I know things are going to be beautiful, and I can have these visions for myself of what I want to be like, what I want to look like, what my relationships are like, what my life is like, what my bank account is like. But at the same time, to allow those things to enter our lives in the way that they're meant to enter into our lives. Because when we're in that intentional space and we set those intentions, the universe, and again, ourselves, conspire to bring that through. But we don't know how exactly that's going to be brought through. And I found in my own practice that it's often in ways that make no logical sense to my mind. It doesn't make logical sense of okay, I'm going back in my journal, I'm seeing these intentions I set a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they're here now. I've actually manifested them and brought them through. But don't ask me how I got here. It's almost like everything I went through, it is everything I went through, and all the challenges I went through and all the experiences I went through were preparing me and unblocking me so that I can get to this moment now. And this is always in play. This is always happening actively. So when we have expectations and we're too fixed in our viewpoints, we can actually slow down the process. So that's been a big message that's been coming through for about a week now. And so I'm going to pull a card from the Sacred Geometry Activations deck to get a final message to round this off about what's activating. But in my experience and from the wording that my guides have been giving me, it is upgrades. It's coming through micro triggers that's trying to loosen up our expectations and to really get us to look at what blessings are in our lives right now, what growth are we seeing right now, and not focusing on how much more growing we need to do to get perhaps where we feel we're going, but to really be grateful and be in that energy of really honoring how far we've come and honoring where we are right now, and to count our blessings. And the emergence card wanted to come up, which is the exact card I pulled earlier this morning. It says the frequency of emergence invites us to approach our reality with a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment, and to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. So this is about also celebrating what's actively unfolding, and to count them. I mean the tiniest little blessings, like how delicious the drink was you just drank, or the tiny little micro things that really light us up, and to really be in the nitty-gritty of that and not be in the nitpickiness of seeing what we don't have or what's not working or why we're feeling uncomfortable. The uncomfortableness is to get us to pull out and to come back to the present moment so that we can see the gifts in our experiences, and we can see the opportunities in being present, in being in the present moment, and honoring those energies there, and honoring the gifts that we are being shown in perhaps unpleasant ways. It's kind of paradoxical, it's hard to explain, but these micro triggers I've been experiencing have been showing me about where I haven't been counting my blessings, and it's really pulling me back so that I can honor who I am now, and to not even put on labels and put masks on myself that aren't serving me, because that's also going to slow down the process. So I hope this message resonates. I'm sending love and wishing you well.